Hello, beautiful, wonderful people. My friends, I need your help. I want to share my mission and I want our community to benefit as many people as possible. This means you should write a review. You should write a kind comment. You should consider using the share button to share this episode with one or more people who you know will be touched in their heart and want to join us in our mission to help the world and to help uplift people. Thanks for your goodness. And I really, really look forward to expanding our community together. On this episode of Inner Voice, but I want to talk to you specifically first about a voice in your head telling you that to transition made you a bad parent. Can you tell me about that and getting over it? Because you've written several times about that timeline for yourself, how being, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but being the messy parent that you are made you into a more vibrant, good parent.
I think it took the shrooms and post to see, this game that you're playing is actually the problem. But it wasn't that I had any conscious knowledge that, okay, this masculine role is oppressive to me.
So much of the narrative is how much suffering there is in getting to that point of being yourself. That somehow the pride parade is earned, that you have to go through the gauntlet, you have to go through hell and back. And not that you didn't suffer. What I'm not hearing from you, and what I've never heard from you in your biography and your beautiful writing, is an absence of it, being a rough time. It certainly was. But what I'm also hearing is that the joy was calling to you throughout the whole arc.
I think I made the joke in the Cosmo essay, but it's very real that I've worked on multiple Jackass type shows and have seen people at the precipice of the scariest shit that they've ever faced down. And there's some point in that if you're going to do a terribly, terribly scary thing, that you have to stop thinking. You have to say often out loud to yourself, shut the fuck up and jump.
Welcome to the Jeffrey Marsh podcast. Guess who this is? This is Jeffrey Marsh. Hi, everybody.
Selena Gomez.
Wonderful. It's Selena Gomez. I'm here. Do we want to talk about the name change, or we just want to do it?
I want to talk directly about it. I want this whole episode to be about it because, after all, we are both contradictions.
Oh, so it goes with our guest, Jude Hope Harris.
So it goes with the theme.
It goes with the theme. Jude wrote a mega viral piece in Cosmo about transitioning within the film and TV industry. And so we're actually going to talk about what it's like to be at the top of an industry and make some changes that are true to your heart and what happens afterwards.
And how to parent, I believe, 2 boys as a trans woman who is no longer interested in masculine things. Hence the title of Contradictions, how she still holds so many masculine characteristics and interests dear to her heart, especially as she parents 2 male children. It's just a fascinating episode. But what we started talking about was your rebranding, Jeffrey.
Yes.
Inner voice is out of voice and in the garbage. What happened?
It's not in the garbage. I think it's a lovely concept, and most people love me for me, and so just doing the simple version that this is the Jeffrey Marsh podcast is felt like the way to go in our heart. And I don't know if we need a bigger, better excuse than just that's what's in our heart.
Right. Well, let's contradict our past selves and invite our beautifully contradictory guest onto the show. Do you want to do talking points, or can I just invite her up? You want to just...
No, I want to do talking points. Hold on, because it's very important. I want to remind some folks. I am a life coach. I am a best-selling author. I have 25 years of Zen study. And I always love to preach. Maybe the most honest thing is to be contradictory. We are taught as young people that we need to be consistent in order to be safe. You have got to be the exact slot and exact personality, exact role in your family unit consistently for all time. And if you deviate, there tends to be trouble. And trouble for a lot of us translates to, I'm not safe anymore. So I'd ask everyone to consider human beings are contradictory. We change our minds, we flit about, and there's nothing wrong with it. Living with contradictions doesn't make you broken. It makes you more real. And learning to integrate your contradictions will make your life experience more real. And I'll tell you, just side note, that will attract more real people to you. Now's your time. One last thought. There is no one right way to be a person, a man, a woman, a parent, an artist. There are many, many paths, and some of us are lucky enough to go on several paths in one lifetime. Let's get talking to Jude Hope Harris, one of my personal heroes.
Today's guest is a fearless filmmaker, parent, and creative powerhouse whose work dismantles expectations from the inside out. Jude Hope Harris is a writer, director, and producer known for her work on the Oscar shortlisted documentary Bad Acts, the MTV stunt series Too Stupid to Die, and the trail of unapologetically independent films. Jude is a proud trans woman, mom of 2 boys, and a former hyper-masculine guy who still loves explosions and chaos, and is figuring out where all of that belongs. Whether she's off-roading or editing a love scene, Jude brings radical honesty and heartfelt humor to everything she does. Please welcome Jude Hope Harris to Inner Voice.
Hello, Jude.
Hello.
I love you. Let's start there.
I love you, Jeffrey.
I love your writing I can't say most of all. I love everything about you most of all. I've got a long list. But I want to talk to you specifically first about a voice in your head telling you that to transition made you a bad parent. Can you tell me about that and getting over it? Because you've written several times about that timeline for yourself, how being, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but being the messy parent that you are made you into a more vibrant, good parent. Am I wrong there?
No, thank God you're right.
Yeah.
And what was that voice that said, don't do it? I think it was, I'm slightly older than you, like a year older than you, roughly your age.
Are you? I'm old. So. I am old.
I've listened to your books and done the math and tried to put it together. I haven't seen your birth certificate, but I think coming up in the 80s and having this, even when I was living as a straight man and considered myself a straight man, I think my understanding of queer life was that it was traumatic and hard. And I love my children to death and would never have elected to do or be anything that made their lives harder. So, the Reader's Digest version of my coming out experience and my transition experience is that I had no idea at all that I was anything other than a cis het man until 42, when I took mushrooms for the first time and watched Pose and had a life-shaking revelation. I don't want people
to miss that part. You took mushrooms and watched Pose and had an awakening about who you are.
Yes, very much so.
Probably not the only person to go through that.
I'm like, do I hope not or hope so? I don't know. I hope.
We have hope that everyone will find themselves and be themselves. Yeah.
Amen. But I think the heaviness of that was, what does this mean for my kids? And I was largely raised in Texas. I had come up a very conventionally masculine guy, and was raising my 2 fairly young sons at that point to be conventionally masculine guys, and really had an ethical dilemma about what it meant for them to have a parent who was trans or visibly queer, and spent a long time reckoning with, would it be better for them to have that parent, or would it be better for them to not have a parent and not know that about me? And we're here talking. So we know how that ended.
We're here talking, and you talk to them. I mean, to skip to the end of the story.
Yeah.
So you didn't decide to leave, for example, and not be a part of their lives.
I didn't. And I felt that I owed it to them to explore every avenue of survival. So I think that was probably the biggest gift of my transition, is even though it was a rough road, as I think most people's transitions are, and came with a lot of rejection and heartache, I knew that whatever choice I made for myself, for my life, etc., had to benefit them. And I really needed to know that I had done everything I could for them before I made any choice. And that was what inspired me to try medical transition. It was really like the last stop before I left planet Earth, and woke up feeling great. And, sometime later was able to talk to my kids. And, now I've been medically transitioning for almost 7 years. We have a relationship that's much, much better for all of us, because I am who I am. And hopefully that's created space for them to be who they are, which currently is two very conventionally cishet, awesome teenage boys.
Yeah. And how old were they roughly when the mushrooms and pose moment happened?
Elementary school. They were both in elementary school. So pretty young.
So you were being very purposeful, and you were being very caring, it sounds like, with your concern about how to take your family through your own personal journey of self-discovery. And I want to go back to talk about that voice in your head, because I think, you and I have never actually talked about it, but I think that the mushrooms and the pose kind of circumvented that voice. And I'm wondering if the voice was saying, and I had always, knowing you as I do, I had always assumed it was something like, you got to be a manly man, you gotta something. You're worthless if you deviate from the norm, or whatever that thing is. And there was a breaking point for you where all of that got undermined. And to your credit, you went with a breaking point. You didn't try to patch it all back together.
Yes, that's true. I mean, I think one of the things that's different about our experience of queerness is that I don't know that I had the same relationship to conventional masculinity that perhaps you had, and that a lot of trans feminine people have, in that there's a lot about masculinity I still enjoy. And my sense was less like, oh, I would rather be wearing pretty dresses, but gosh, I have to play this role, and more, all men are miserable. Part of being a man is being miserable. And what I really thought I was doing was playing a game that we were all playing, and none of us were happy playing, but I had reached a certain skill level with it. So I think it took the shrooms and pose to see, oh, this game that you're playing is actually the problem. But it wasn't that I had any conscious knowledge that, okay, this masculine role is oppressive to me.
Can you say that again? The game?
Probably not.
Because I think it's really the essence of how so many people relate to your story. That your transition had a purity to it, a deep down, how do I want to say it? A sense of fun, a sense of joy within it, even in the dark times. Is that making any sense to you?
I think that's right. I mean, I spent a month like closeted, conventionally closeted. That's it. So I think
What a month, I'm sure it was.
Much alcohol was consumed that month, regrettably. So I think, I didn't have the same burden that people who spend particularly their formative years and certainly often years or decades of their young life closeted. It felt like bad news to wake up, on a Saturday morning and say, oh gosh, the shrooms are gone and here I am still trans. That is not what I was hoping for. At the same time, I think it just made it very matter of fact that, okay, this is the game you were playing before, was being a sad man to the best of your ability, and providing for your family and taking care of the people you love the best you can. And now the game is figuring out how to be a trans person at 42 with nothing but, the experience of being a bald-headed, big-bearded man with cowboy boots.
And you're smiling.
Yeah.
So, what you were hinting at before, I think, I won't put words in your mouth. I'll put the words in my mouth.
Oh, they'll be better than my words. Go for it.
So much of the narrative is how much suffering there is in getting to that point of being yourself. That somehow the pride parade is earned, that you have to go through the gauntlet, you have to go through hell and back. And not that you didn't suffer. What I'm not hearing from you, and what I've never heard from you in your biography and your beautiful writing, is an absence of it, being a rough time. It certainly was. But what I'm also hearing is that the joy was calling to you throughout the whole arc. It was in there somewhere.
Right. I think that's right. I think living as a cis man was about understanding that there was so much in my life that I should be at minimum grateful for and likely joyful about. I mean, I have a great life and I've had a great life for a long time. So I think it was just that distance is between the circumstances of my life and the way I felt about them. And certainly then I would have preferred any other path to joy than this one. But, this is the path.
Yeah. So tell me about that. What emotions go with any other path? You mean keeping something resembling your old life?
For sure. And I think
somehow,
reckoning with this,
like
I've discovered that I'm an entirely different person and I would like to keep the facts of my life totally the same except for that giant change. And, you went to a Buddhist monastery, the drill. I think, attachment is the root of all suffering. I mean, I'm like super Christian, but the Buddhists are right about everything. But yeah, I think it was like, wow, I've found happiness. Can I just plug this new happy version of myself into the life I built as like a grumpy man? And like, why would that not be perfect? And, the answer is because there are other people in the equation also living their truths. And, we need to adjust for who we all are now with the facts that we know. But, you've written about this. I think a lot of the suffering is because of people's responses and externalities. Inside, it's all great.
Inside, it's all great. Yeah, I wanted to. I mean, and sometimes it's tumultuous or we grow, right, as human beings inside. But you're talking about this immense backlash that trans people face in being themselves. And the heavy weight of what the rest of the world was doing, thinking, or being.
Yeah.
But I am getting this bright line in your soul and in your story between that and the joy you felt in finding who you are.
That's right. And I think that's always been, I never had, even when I identified as like a kind of salty dude. You know, I had trans friends, I knew trans people. I, at my most conservative, never really felt attached to kind of conservative problems with queer people. It always felt like, I don't know, like that's their deal. Let them do whatever. And now on the other side of it, I'm like, oh yeah, that would be cool, but that's certainly not, you know, the animating force behind a lot of people. But
which force? What do you do? What do you?
This idea of like letting people, you know, this live and let live idea as that.
Oh, 99% of the world is not there.
Is not there. But I think, you know, again, because I didn't own the shame of the closet, it was just so easy for me to see, well, yeah, that's like a bunch of hateful people with a lot of baggage and a lot of damage that they're projecting onto this other group of people. And, you know, spoiler alert, you're now a member of this other group of people. But it applies to you as much as it ever applied to any of the wonderful trans people you've met along the way.
Yeah, and I think anyone listening who has a transition in their lives, who's becoming more and more themselves in the face of opposition, can take a lot from the element of joy, staying present and being committed to that no matter what. And certainly I mean, we're known as the Pride Parade people, right? We're known as the LGBTQIA++, you know, umbrella of the alphabet that can accept quite a lot of people, right? And have a sense of community. And I want to phrase this delicately, but I've just always been dying to ask you, is it a certain amount of male privilege that you felt carried over? That you were sort of taught that, well, you're just going to do something?
Oh,
like
yeah.
A Texas thing?
Absolutely. Well, it's a Texas thing. Is it being a Texas thing?
Because I did not have that, so I'm
different?
curious about it.
Those are not different things. No, I think, look, I mean, but for the grace of 3 decades of like unknowing closetedness, go I. I mean, I have a career that I would not have if I had. I mean, look, I'm 49. I certainly wistfully imagined what my life would be like if I could have transitioned as a teenager. But that was the 90s. And if I had transitioned as a teenager in the 90s, my life wouldn't resemble my life at all. I wouldn't have the career I have. I wouldn't have the family I have. I wouldn't have the resources I have and the community I have. It would be entirely different. So absolutely, you know, I try to be sort of like scuzzier, more aware Caitlyn Jenner, but like I'm very much on that side of the privilege spectrum.
Well, thank you for pinpointing where you fall in the spectrum. But what's also interesting is that you battled with self-hate too. So it's not like, as a matter of fact, every single person I've ever coached with, interacted with, been in a workshop with, you know, taught in a workshop with, every single person is told there's something wrong with you. Which is pretty alarming, pretty shocking that every single human would go through that experience. When you were a child, do you remember what the prevailing message was for you? What was wrong with you that you were supposed to fix?
At home, kind of everything. Like, not to be...
alphabetical list or
that's like I don't know
system.
that I felt like super like I definitely was a kid that felt like, okay, I'm not doing well at this whole life thing. And then, you know, I think because again, I grew up in Texas, I had a lot of people read me in that kind of early adolescence transition to teenagehood as queer somehow. And so I'd get bullied for being an F slur. And I think, you know, in terms of like, attraction, I'm theoretically bisexual, but most men are just like not worth the effort to me. So, you know, it always felt like, well, I'm not like gay enough that I would ever disrupt my social safety to crush on a boy. So like you guys are just wrong. So I owe a lot of my bullies like an apology. They were right. But
wait. Say more about that. What do you mean?
Well,
that they were right that you were LGBTQ somehow.
For being queer, and I was like, "What are you talking? You're wrong. No, I'm not queer. Like I'm just a weirdo or whatever." And it's like, "No, you were right."
Funny story. I said the same thing. Right. I famously in middle school had a girlfriend. Bless her heart. But anyway, I would tell adults, I have a girlfriend. Her name's Becky, and they would laugh in my face. Adults.
Yeah.
So
but I had girlfriends that I was actually excited about. So
right.
I was just like,
and
what?
you, yes, we're living in a different experience. Tell me a little bit about, though, going back, because I can't leave well enough alone.
Oh, don't.
Everything. That's the word you used. So what were you told is wrong with you? And it was around every turn. Couldn't do this right, couldn't do that right, couldn't do that right.
Oh gosh, my posture, how much I ate, the fact that I was like not a particularly interested or engaged student, my like failure to help out around the house. I mean, I don't know that any of it was like, I mean, I wish I could get highly specific and say, and then I did this one thing and now it's my superpower, but it's like, no, I felt like a drag. As a kid, I was just aware that I was a lot of effort and sort of frustrating to my parents was my sense of where I like fit in.
I mean, okay, forgive me for like coaching you in real time. You know that's not your fault, correct?
Oh yeah, no.
All right, and you know that the whole like I feel like a drag to my parents is actually a really common human experience. And
oh, for sure. Yeah.
Gives me a lot of sadness and grief as I look around at what that particular way to raise children has wrought in our world. How, I'm fascinated, Jude, how did we get to then a full-on adult, 42 years old, who said, oh, I'm just going to transition now. And I'm being a little reductive for humorous effect, but it takes some bravery, some guts. And, we talked, maybe there's a sprinkling of, what felt like a comfortability as, you're thinking of yourself as a cis straight man. But also there's something going on there in who you are and what you're committed to, what drives you. You made a joke that it was everything and everything can't be your superpower. But we just heard your bio. Zach read it. I mean, doing everything is your superpower, honestly. So it's like so many people deal with a voice inside their head telling them, no, you can't, you shouldn't. They're going to laugh at you. Nobody loves you. How did you conquer that part? If you have, or if you still work with it, to get to, well, this is the new life. Let's go ahead and do it.
Yeah. I mean, I think the other voice in my head is...
Tell me about it.
Is also like... the other voice in my head is very tough love. And...
Like Dr. Phil?
Maybe a little saltier than Dr.
Kid
Phil.
of the 90s? Where are you going?
I think it's, there's one voice saying like, oh, transition is scary, being yourself is scary, the world will reject you and all those other things. And then there's a voice being like, look at all the people who came before you and what they accomplished and how much
look at all the people that came. That's my Dr. Phil.
Exactly. It's that. And, I think I made the joke in the Cosmo essay, but it's very real that like, I've worked on multiple Jackass type shows and have seen people at the precipice of the scariest shit that they've ever faced down. And there's some point in that if you're going to do a terribly, terribly scary thing, that you have to stop thinking. You have to say often out loud to yourself, shut the fuck up and jump. And I think that defined most of the hardest years of my transition, was the inner voice saying, you're not the first person to do this. There are other people who have jumped off of higher, scarier things, and your leap of faith is this one, and stop being a baby about it and just fucking do it. And
you found that helpful.
That's not a nurturing voice, but sometimes you need somebody to kick you in the ass and make you do something.
Yeah, I mean, it may seem shocking or surprising, but I wholeheartedly agree. And sometimes the best self-mentoring is jump.
Yeah.
Whatever is going to happen afterwards, we'll work it out together.
And that's future you's problem, which is the other thing I learned on Jackass.
Right?
Is you have to be like, whatever happens next belongs to some other person that lives in the future. What happens now is just me making a choice and taking whatever that first step is.
Is this moment.
Yeah.
Yes. What was the show you worked on? Too Stupid to Live?
Too Stupid to Die.
Oh, Too Stupid to Die. Well, different.
No, come on. That's much more optimistic.
Yes. People taking risks, if we make it a spiritual metaphor, on that show. Oh, you want to say how transitioning is like the stunts on that show? Is that where you were going?
I mean, that was what my decision to transition was exactly that. Was saying, this is absolutely terrifying. I don't know what's going to happen on the other side. I know it will suck. Like, undoubtedly, if I make this decision, like, sucky things are going to happen to me. Is that different from jumping into a cactus or getting in a kiddie pool with an alligator? Sure. I mean, in terms of like the depth and breadth of queer history and our experience and all those things, like, yes, it's profoundly deeper. But in terms of an action and a decision and a plan for your life, I don't know that it's that different.
Well, the internet is certainly like getting in a kiddie pool with an alligator.
Oh, Lord, yes.
Maybe several alligators.
You're the Johnny Knoxville of trolls. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I happen to know, just to brag, I happen to know you had seen my social media before we had even met. And that also, in addition to Pose and some others, that had informed your journey and your coming out. And I want to come back for a moment to your family. Your absolutely hit mega viral Cosmo piece writing about it. Which, by the way, you've talked more about it then subsequently on your Substack, correct? Yes. So telling that story of how you made the decision when to tell your sons and how. Can you tell me? Oh, I'm going to insert myself in my opinions. That was a redemptive moment. They helped to redeem you. And I don't mean in a judgmental way or like a Christian way. I just mean that was an act of love and lift and kindness. Tell me how you felt then.
Oh gosh, so many things. Well, I'll go first to what you said first, which is, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you. I think, wouldn't be on this planet, and I want to be very real about that and express my gratitude to you. I think the revelation with Pose was wild, and then there was like, great, well, what do you do with this? And with all the stupidity of a 42-year-old Texas guy being like, all right, so how do I transition? What the hell is this going to look like? And to look at, it's you, it's Jacob, it's Alok, really scant few, I'm the person who was like, well, I heard about this non-binary stuff on TV. What's that about? And I think, two of my core values are honesty and toughness. And I had been told my whole life that toughness looks like a certain thing. And in this quest to find answers, I discovered you and people like you and was like, oh gosh, I was real wrong about what toughness looks like. So that this coming out and transitioning isn't a step into weakness.
Turn off my camera and bawl my eyes out. Excuse me. Excuse me. No, I'll just do it on camera. It's better. Say more. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
I think it's just that I was not wise enough. And I'm certain if we rolled back to middle school, there were people like you who would be like, Jude wasn't a great presence in my life at that time. And just really watching a half dozen of your reels changed my understanding of what toughness looks like and how toughness and honesty intersect. And I mean that very, like, with so much gratitude to you, that seeing that template for how a life can be lived was really the only way I could step into the life that I am living. And it's an awesome life. So thank you. Extra.
Getting to that, what's the difference? So you were taught toughness looks like X, and you come to find out it's Y. Can you tell me a little bit about the difference?
I think it's, you get told that being a big, physically strong, imposing person in a group of physically strong, imposing people who are holding the same line is somehow individual strength. And to stand as a man in a group of men and forget violence, to just have an opinion about somebody comes with an endorsement of so much social and physical power. And that is not to say that those men individually aren't tough. I do think I was a tough person, but there's this kind of association of that group with, I just happened to be born into the tough group. And I think, and shame on me. I mean, I'm no better than any Republican that's like, I didn't like the queers until my kid came out as queer. But I think it wasn't until I found myself in my own life standing alone that I started looking at other people who had stood alone and managed to hold on to who they are, that I reevaluated what that toughness was. And then I think even in that hypothetical group of men, those men are the toughest when they stand for the things that make them the most unique. And I know plenty of tough men who do that. But I know very few cishet men as tough as you.
Or you.
Oh.
So in a sense, you were born into a tough group.
Yeah, we did it.
Thank you so much. I love you, and we'll do a part 2 because we must continue the stories. What are you writing about today on Substack?
Oh Lord!
What's most interesting?
Can I tell you what I'm really writing? I'm writing a Christmas movie right now, which is
a Christmas movie. So not on Substack, not a Substack Christmas
That's
movie.
what I need to write a Substack, but I'm really big on Christmas right now. Is where I'm at. My
kind of makes sense.
Is about the things that we've been talking about, and to go back to what you asked before, and I want to be conscious of how much time we have, but. I think...
Holy for Jolie, I'm the host. You relax. My job.
So I think with that coming out experience came this desire to repay what had been paid into my life. And I think part of what was so threatening to my existence was that I hadn't seen a lot of people like me in the positions that I was in, in corporate. I mean, I work in entertainment, but on the corporate side of entertainment. And it was just like, this is in the Cosmo story. It's when I figured out I was trans, I was like, okay, how am I going to go from being a senior vice president at this company to being a sex worker? Because that is my full understanding of the trans experience.
Options. Yeah.
So it was really important to me that when I got through it, that I tell my story in hopes that if there's another Jude thinking she's a Texas guy, thinking that she's like alone, that there's not a template for her, that there was a template that was a little closer for somebody who's like, well, I don't relate with queerness at all. What is this? Tell your story, Jude. And hopefully that will, do a little for someone else what Jeffrey did for you. So the Substack talks about, my life both as like, a latchkey Texas kid running around and like setting things on fire and shooting guns and doing all that stuff, as well as talking about the realities of, parenting two great boys and like living through divorce and co-parenting and, all the stuff that comes with being trans in our current political movement or moment, through my particular lens.
Okay, well, I will encourage you to own the fact that your story is also universal. You made several points about how it's different than other trans folks, for example, and probably certainly different than other like Texas dudes' life stories. But also you tell the human story and you do it through art. I've seen it. You do it through brilliance and through having an open heart. So thank you. Oh, what a good interview. See, now I've already forgotten. What was the name of the show that Jude was on? Too Stupid to Die. Is that what it was called?
Yeah. And
Am I making this up? Bad Axe. Yes, of course. Another, yeah.
Shortlisted for an Oscar. I mean, that's a big deal in her industry.
Yeah. Our industry, the industry.
Yeah, I was just not trying to put myself there, but yes, own it.
You're in this industry, Zach.
I know.
Do you have a trivia question for me? Because we love our trivia.
Not only do I have one, but I have
trivia.
One. Jeffrey, according to a 2020 study in the journal Social Science and Medicine, as you can see, our sources are getting more and more scholarly after we've been not in hot water, but taking responsibility for providing the most true questions possible. Social Science and Medicine, what percentage of trans parents reported that becoming a parent was a positive influence on their gender identity or transition?
Oh, 90%? That's my guess.
That's what
I think it's a lot. I think it's yes. I tend to give the hopeful answer. So let's see if the reality ever matches me. We'll find out later in the episode. And I love doing our shows together. It's fun.
Me too. I was going to cut there, but I want to preserve this beautiful moment of earnest compliment. I love doing this.
I think it's good. I love our community. I love doing this. This is my life mission.
Oh well, you just segued us into community question. Do you want to hear it?
Yes, please.
Okay, fantastic. I'm scrolling past space for ad one, but they already know that because they've already listened to it.
They experienced it in real time.
Femme from the Woods in the Discord. Femme from the Woods is one of our most honored Discord members. And me and them actually talked about the feminist inroads that the Wheel of Time series had made for fantasy in the 90s.
Oh, that's great.
One of my good virtual friends, as good of friends you can be on the internet. Femme from the Woods says, I often feel like I have to choose, be the soft one or the strong one, the parent or the artist. How do you stop apologizing for being complicated, Jeffrey? You would know nothing about this.
Yeah, insert joke here. So, non binary influencer, spiritual teacher, author, cabaret star. Um, yeah, I always have a lot of things going. And we were joking about this offline, actually. You und I, Zach. The algorithm sometimes doesn't know what to do with me because there's so much going on. But it also feels so good to just play and have fun in all of these different verticals. And I used to feel so talking about being a spiritual teacher and like, am I a student of the spirituality? Am I a teacher of the spirituality? And we'll table that discussion for now. But being like a quote unquote spiritual person, but also cracking jokes, also like making a bawdy joke in a cabaret. It's like those things don't go together. It's like in this human being, they do. And the thing that brings all of it together is that they are pure expressions of who we are. So as long as we're moving in that direction, constantly expressing, flowering, growing, showing who we are, our quote unquote true self can change from moment to moment. Would you agree?
Yeah, not my whole life has been contradictions, but I think I really um, understand Jude's point of view and having multiple interests. I was just about to say, like, my nails are painted, but I also couldn't bother to shave today. I don't, and I think that's a non-binariness of it all, which you've already attested to. I think that there's a natural flux in not choosing one for yourself, not being a binary trans person or whatever. I mean, our cis brothers and sisters and whoever can feel this way too, that sometimes you suppress your interests in order to fit into the box of what you should be instead of acknowledging that it's the box's fault or the concept of the box's fault and that humanity is complicated and you're allowed to like whatever you want. Yeah, I think I started talking about me specifically, and now I want to open it up to humanity. That's what makes a beautiful person is dimensionality, and so why
Yeah,
be bogged down about it meaning anything? I guess is
yes.
the point.
And I think that goes for any binary we got. So gender was the example. And I hope this isn't a radical statement. I don't think there's a human alive who is not chafed against the edges of the gender box that they're in. Whether they would phrase it that way, I don't know. But there's nobody who's, not been told you're not man enough, you're not woman enough, or whatever those boxes are.
For sure.
And so I think that
For
that's
sure.
a universal and people can relate. But it's also you're not spiritual enough, you're not smart enough, you're not enough. And at the same time, you're too much. What a contradiction! You got a trivia answer for me.
Oh,
You
you
promised
I
you would
do.
give
I
it to me.
do. And you were so excited to say 90%.
Am I going to be just sad and dejected and disappointed?
Well, yeah, because I don't know what to think. But let's open this up, and then maybe we can, even though neither of us are parents, let's have a conversation about. Let's have a speculation session anyway. According to social science and medicine, 64%
Oh,
of trans parents say becoming a parent positively influenced their experience of gender or transition. Social Science and Medicine 2020. Now, my first thought with the way the answer is phrased. So let me say, when I received the question, I thought it was, you are already a parent, and then you transition, and the process of transitioning was felicitous or fricative for the child. That's what I thought the question was. The way this answer is phrased is the parent is already trans, and then they had a kid, and the having of the kid positively influenced the experience of gender, because that's what this question apparently is. I mean, there's a lot of reasons for that. I mean, where do kids come from? How do kids pop out? Is through a place, keeping it G-rated, is through a place about which you might have dysphoria. right?
Mm.
And I could imagine being a trans man carrying a baby, which it happens. I could see that as having a feminine experience and thus being very complicated.
Well, this is so interesting because it's pertinent to our conversation with Jude. Obviously, because Jude is a parent. But also on the level of Jude talking about exploring the ideas of privilege and what it was like pre-transition, and then feeling like there was this sense of privilege within the industry pre-transition, and that sort of bleeding its way into the transition, and having less of having more of a, how do I want to phrase it, glide path during the transition, just because it felt like I'm just going to do this thing. And then the path of being a parent having a lot of complication, not so much of a glide path, dis-ease about coming out to your kids and transitioning in front of them. And, so that could actually be a case where, becoming a parent, even though Jude was a parent before, but, the act of parenting not enriching the trans experience. But you know what I was thinking of? They're both hard experiences sometimes. There's not a lot of support for trans people, and there's actually a lot of pushback culturally right now for trans people just to live in peace and be themselves. And parenting is rough. That's not an easy task. So I could see how it would not exactly make one's life easier, happier, or more enriched from a certain perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, also, I mean, maybe my only last addition is you just spoke of safety, and somebody who, a large job of parenting, especially if you enjoy that job, is to protect the kid, and you're really thinking about the safety of the child. And what more complicated can it be to do something unsafe yourself and to always wonder, hey, am I going to get mugged on the street and not come home tonight as the parent, or am I going to take my kid to the playground and people are going to come at me for being the visually transparent of this child and spew their stuff at me, I'm sure that's why a lot of people don't do it, is that introducing an unsafe situation for yourself, it's impossible not to then introduce your child to that same situation as long as you're with them,
Mm-hmm. Can be very, parenting especially can be heavy, complicated. Yeah. A road we don't expect, for sure.
And a road I have not gone down. So take my
and a road I'm not
I'm
going
just
down.
Kind of spitting, yeah.
I have plants. That's all. That's my parenting skills. So I'd love to round out today's episode with some encouragement for you. Please remember, you don't have to make sense to be lovable. You don't have to make sense to be respected, to be seen. You don't have to make sense to make an impact in other people's lives. Let your contradictions stay contradictions. They are what keep you humble, honest, authentic. You. Your past isn't an enemy. It is the rich fabric of what makes you you today. So you don't have to chuck out the old. Oh my gosh, what an ironic discussion since we changed the name of the podcast. It's a part of us. It's still here. Inner voice is still here. Welcome to the Jeffrey Marsh podcast. Your past isn't something you need to be ashamed of or run from. And lastly, no label can capture the whole truth of a human being. And that's part of the point that we learned today. Please close your eyes. If you're not in a place where you can close your eyes, if it wouldn't be safe or you just don't feel comfortable doing it, look down at your kneecaps or your shoelaces and draw your attention inward. I'd like you to take a few long, deep breaths. We tend to breathe shallow, up in the throat, up in the chest, and here's your chance to lower the breath, to breathe all the way down into the stomach, into the diaphragm, down, 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 expanding the sternum and feeling the center, the middle of your body expand nice and wide with each inhale and fully empty out with each exhale. As you ponder the places you've been in your life, the yous you've been, can you embrace them all? Can you honor them all? And can you create a space to integrate them all as acceptable, lovable, and beautiful? Take one more deep, wide, open breath. And as you exhale, return to your day, knowing that you can carry this energy with you for as long as you'd like. Love you all lots. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening to the Jeffrey Marsh Podcast. This has been Inner Voice with Jeffrey Marsh. Today's episode was produced by Zach Latino. If you're ready to go deeper, transform your life, and experience personalized support, my one-on-one coaching sessions can be applied for at jeffreymarsh.com. Know someone perfect for Inner Voice? Send them our way. Have them visit jeffreymarsh.com to sign up for our exclusive online community, and we'll reach out if their inquiry aligns with an upcoming episode. Remember, you are worthy exactly as you are. See you next time.